Hi guys, Coach JT here with Inside the Dugout with Pack. Tonight is our Q&A session. So after we had our live session on Monday, we had some questions come in from coaches, and our moderator here, Campbell, as always, is going to bring up those questions, and then the three of us will discuss and hopefully answer those questions for you. And then if you're on tonight and you have questions for us, or if you're watching the replay, just shoot those questions over to Campbell, and she'll make sure that we answer all your questions because we really want to bring something extra to this community. We don't want to just be up here preaching and talking. We want to answer questions that you have right now with your team or your child or whatever it is, whatever thing you need help with right now in baseball or softball. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Campbell. Well, Larry and I think hopefully we can not get stumped on the first Q&A call.
I'm sure you guys will do fine. Okay, so a lot of these questions are very much like beginning of the season, just starting out. So let's start off with um, what do I do if my team hits well in practice but looks totally different during the game?
Ooh, that's a good one. You want to start with that one there?
Yeah, they hit well in practice, but come game time, they struggle. I guess what you have to do is look at what their approach is at the plate during the game. You talk about that during practice. When it's taking BP, it's always a fastball straight down the middle, and you just do what you need to do. So you make the practice into a game situation. So like when we do our BP for our team, we go opposite field for the first 10 swings, and then we go middle, and then we pull. We make it more like a game situation than anything. So when it does come to game, it's muscle memory. You're already doing what you're doing in practice into the game. And the more you do it in practice, the easier it's going to be in the game. So, you practice like you play. And so that's what I would do in my approaches. I mean, what are they doing? Talk to them, what they looking for. I heard a great example the other day about Pete Rose. He said, if you think of a fastball at every pitch, you would adjust to every other pitch that much easier. And I kind of looked at them like, okay, so you're at the bat and you're thinking fastball every single pitch. And you're thinking 96 miles an hour every single time. And then all of a sudden here comes a curveball or a changeup. You can adjust to that pitch a lot easier because it's coming slower than you could on a fastball. So that's where I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, what I would tell my kids is, you practice how you play. We look at our practice and how we're practicing and what's going good at practice and take it from practice to the game.
I like that. I'm going to add on to something you said very early on, and that is the approach. A lot of times when I see this where the kids are doing well um, in practice and not so well in the game, what I see is it's a mental thing. Most of the time, it's a mental thing where their approach, if I go out to the game and I watch them, what I'll see is they're not very confident. So they're afraid maybe this pitcher's throwing faster or whatever it is, and that's a mental thing because it's not that they're throwing faster or that they can't hit it. It's that for some reason they think that they can't. And some parents will tell me, well, there's more pressure in the game. Actually, no, we practice hard. We put all the pressure on ourselves in practice so that when we go to the game, it's easy. It's called a game. That's the fun part, right? So you do all the work, all the hard work in practice. And then sometimes when that doesn't translate to the batter's box, it's because of a confidence or something that's going on in their head.
100% agree. Very good.
What one of the exercises that you guys are gonna laugh at me, but with girls I've found in coaching girls for a long time, they do have a lot of self-esteem issues and self-confidence issues. I don't know the boys, and you could speak to this some more in a second here, Larry, but the boys seem to have a lot more of that naturally. And then the girls are sort of real self-conscious. They think everybody's watching them and all those things. So I do this drill that is hilarious. So in the facility, we have mirrors all over the place, right? So when we're doing a regular practice, and I notice that the girls are having a hard time in the game like that, what I'll do is I'll do what's what I call the mirror exercise. So every single time you pass a mirror, you look at it and you give it a confident face, or you squat and you look at it and you just be like, hey, you know? And every time you pass a mirror, you do that. And what happens is you start to have this swagger about you. And then you'll see the girls when they get up in the box, they're smiling at the pitcher. Now the pitcher's like, wait, why are you smiling at me right now? And you'll start to see they'll do better in the game.
100%, man. I go back a couple years back with the old travel team I had, the Bears. I mean, for about 2 months, nobody could beat us. I mean, you just saw those boys walk into a stadium or a field or a complex, and man, their heads are up high. And they had the swagger, like you said, the swagger, and no one's going to beat us. No pitcher's going to beat us. Nothing's going to happen in this game that is going to cost us a game. And that is the best feeling as a coach, as a player. You watch those kids walk in, and like you said, the mirror, and let's go to war, let's battle. And I loved it. And we traveled to New York, Boston, Florida, and they brought the same swagger from Colorado over there, and no one knew us from Adam, and they did a very good job. And they played some tough teams from Puerto Rico and from the East Coast, and we battled with them. And you saw you're facing 94, 95 miles an hour every game, and they weren't getting beat. But take that same team a year prior, and they were getting beat the whole time because the confidence wasn't there, the practice wasn't there, what they were doing at practice every day compared to games. And the minute they bought into the program and bought into what they were doing was the right thing, man, their whole mindset changed, and I loved it. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you hit on some great points there. Maybe you could share with us how as a new coach do I come in and create that swagger, or is there a way for me to sort of cultivate that practice environment where it sort of stimulates that kind of a mentality?
They gotta trust you. What we're saying is the trust comes from a long ways from the players, coaches, parents, and like that. So I mean, no one wants to go practice for 2.5 hours or whatever it may be, but they have to trust what you're doing is right. And when they get that going, and then you make practice fun and you do different kind of drills. And I always say you got to learn how to crawl before you walk. And so we did T work. We did T work. We did soft toss. They learned how to do it the right way. And then they started seeing the rewards of their hitting, and their average is going up, and now they get more power, and now they're getting doubles instead of rolling over all the time. And they started seeing the hard work they put in on the practice field go into games, and that was fun. And then the main thing I did with my team was we're a family, and this is what we're doing with the pack. So when we traveled together, everybody traveled together at the same time. We stayed in the same hotel together. They roomed together, so they weren't away from each other. And I brought kids from DPS, Denver Public School System, and the suburbs, and I brought them in with language barriers and everything, and we brought them all together into one. And at the end of the day, we were a team. We were a family. We ate together. We had parties together. We even till this day they still talk to each other, and that's a testament of the players, the families, the coaches, the organization. And then we always say, look at a good organization when kids keep on coming back and playing for your team. That's when you're done well, because they're not going over here or going over there. They're staying with Pack Baseball, and that's a family. Or Pack Softball, we're a family. And when you get that power, it's fun. I mean, they can't wait to get to the diamond and play and practice. So
I think you hit something right on the head there, and one of those things is creating that environment of comfort, right? Because those girls or those boys, when they're out there, they're not necessarily nervous because of the other team. They don't care that much about the other team. What they care about is the guys or girls that are in the dugout with them. So when you start to create an environment and practice and do those extra team building things, I know a lot of teams are so busy and so focused on practice, they don't do that extra stuff. But it's those little extra things that create an experience that really creates this mastermind or this bond that's what creates that swagger, because everybody likes going out there with friends that they trust are going to be able to support them and help them, and they're going to be able to support their friends. And that's part of what that swagger is, right? You know, I like to always dress the girls to the nines, even when they're coming up. I like to have them in warm up suits and everything. So when they're coming in, oh, here comes the pack. There's no question that's who's coming in right now. And it starts to not only intimidate the other team, but it really pumps up the girls and gives them, like you said, that swagger.
100%. And I cannot wait for you to share your uniform ideas and what these girls are getting when they become part of the pack family. Because what you've done with those uniforms are amazing. I love them. I mean,
Those are so cool.
you do have them all decked out to the nine. So hopefully you will share that with the community because what you've done is awesome. So they're very lucky to have that. I mean, for one, come into the program, and two, that's the best part. When I was coaching Air Force, when they took me into that back room and said, "Here's your stuff, go pick it out." I had turfs, I had cleats, I had shorts, I had the shirt, I had the warm ups, the bags. I mean, that's what it's all about. It was awesome. I mean, maybe you can get your stuff and it says pack on it or your name or whatever. That's pride, man. I loved it. So yes, that's good stuff.
I love it. So, do you think we answered that question? I know we went off a little bit, but I think everything we talked about is really what's happening on the field. If they don't have that swagger, if they don't have that confidence, if they don't trust their teammates, if they're not comfortable around their teammates, they're not going to perform well. And you could look at the individual and say, okay, he's doing this or she's doing that. But a lot of times, if it's a team thing where the whole team is struggling with hitting, it's exactly what we talked about tonight. Do you think we answered the question okay, Campbell?
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job. The only thing I would add to that is I've noticed, like with my boys and helping to build an environment where they can share with each other and just be comfortable around each other, um, is I take a couple extra minutes at the beginning of practice just to go around and like talk to each guy on my team individually and see how they're doing. And I do that with every team I'm a part of, even the teams that I just like keep book for. And I notice that when you keep up to date and when you know what's happening in a person's life and just like take a couple minutes to be like, hey, how are your classes going? How was that exam you were worried about? It really helps them come together as a team. And I think that just goes along with what both you and Larry were saying.
Oh yeah, you hit the nail on the head for sure.
Yes, you did. Good job.
Okay, so moving on. Here's another interesting question. This one asks, what do I do if my team seems to lose focus late in the game and they fall apart? If they do lose, it's usually in the last inning or two of the game.
Oh, maybe are you okay if I start with this one there?
You got that one. Go ahead.
I,
Yeah,
I,
run
I
them.
did this. I did this last year. So a competition team called me and said, "Hey, coach, this was the exact question they came up with." So I went to their practice and I said, "I'm just going to come and observe, see what's going on." And I look, and the girls right before practice are all on their phones. I mean, they're walking up to practice, they're on their phones and they're texting and they're scrolling through TikTok as they're walking up into the dugout, and then they got their phone playing next to them while they're putting their cleats on and all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then they go out, and some of them went out onto the practice field with their phone in their pocket. And I saw a couple of them check it while they were practicing. And I said, okay, I think I have an idea of what might be going on here. So I said, everybody go grab your phone and come out here. And I had them all come up and stand in a circle. And I said, look at your phone. Tell me how much your average daily screen time is. And that team, I think the lowest one was 6.5 hours a day on her phone. And the highest one was nine something. So I said, the issue is in across the span of 7 innings, you're asking somebody who has a attention, who is used to scrolling through how long is a video on TikTok? Like 30 seconds, 10 seconds, something like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
but
like 30 a minute.
Yeah. So she's basically practicing focusing for 10 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it is, for 9 hours a day or 6 hours a day. And then you go out to practice for an hour and a half and you say, Now I want you to practice for an hour. I want you to stay focused for an hour and a half. So I said, first off, you need to recognize that, because if you're not aware that that's what's going on, you're not going to be able to fix that problem, right? So then second, I said, you have to find a way as a coach to keep their attention. There can't be where you send everybody out and you hit infield, outfield, because when you hit to the outfielders and the first baseman's not doing very much, they're thinking about the TikToks they were scrolling on, right? Or the pitcher. What is the pitcher doing? Oh, they're kind of backing up, whatever. It when you're doing the whole team like that, it can sort of lose focus. It's hard to keep the whole team focused. I'm not saying don't ever do that, but what I'm saying is if you got some assistant coaches and things like that, and you break them up into small groups where they're bam, 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 and you got them going, they won't ever lose focus. And if you do that in practice for the entire hour and a half, and then you have maybe water breaks or something that breaks up the monotony, and then you come together and you talk while they're drinking their water, hey, how do you think that went? What did this do? What did that do? If they know you're going to ask them questions, they automatically start focusing better. And then you'll find if you start running your practices like that, then you're not going to have those late inning mishaps, because now they're able to stay focused for that game. And then when you go onto the field, you'll want to also do things that keep their attention. So you always huddle when they come off the field. You always are in the dugout boosting them. I actually have an assistant coach who is my bench coach, and her entire job is to be the cheerleader on the bench to make sure everybody's happy and excited and in the game.
Well said. You know, I can go so many different ways on this thing because I've had this happen, and I'm with boys and you're with girls, and I mean we both have 3 daughters. We know how it all is, you know. But I mean, prime example, you know, fall ball is tough because it ain't summer. It's fall. They have school. These kids they're kids. They're still in school. You have homecoming. You have prom. You have dances. You have football games, and you try to have these kids play on a weekend and try to keep their focus is very, very tough. And I remember we were playing in up north by Fort Collins, and it was homecoming weekend. Homecoming was coming up, and I was like, "This is gonna be a rough weekend, guys. I know it is." Told the coaching staff, I go, they have tuxedos, limousines, dates, and all this stuff happening. And I'm watching it, and it drove me nuts because I saw it coming, and I'm like, here we go. It's going to collapse. And like you said, the mental side, trying to get these guys focused on one thing, it was a task. And so, you know, after the game, we had a little talk, and I got them on a line, and we ran. We're like, let's go. And we talked about it, and we said, this is why we're doing this, and you need to be focused. You guys, I have you guys for 2 hours. Here we go. Let's do it. And we got some more laps, and then you started seeing the cream started rising, and now you have that leaders are stepping up, and now you have your team and you have your dugout, because now those boys are now watching what's going on. And coach, I know you don't have this much in softball with the girls, but fantasy football. When you said the phones, I mean, I had these boys look at the phone. I'm like, what are you looking at your phone for? Oh, I have this guy playing, coach. I'm like, we're playing baseball here. Put the phones down. So I had the same thing you did. A no policy for phones. They put it away. So you saw the upper guys up there started watching it, patrolling it. And it's tough, because that's a good question, because it's tough to keep their focus. But when you start telling these boys why we lost the game in the 7th inning, why you struck out in the 7th inning or 6th inning, why you made those errors, because your mind was somewhere else. It wasn't focused on ground ball or the 0-2 pitch you need to hit. Something happened that you were getting distracted, and that's exactly what you said about the phones, or you talking in the dugout, and you have that coach that's always encouraging them. 100%, because there could be 11 and 12 all the way to 18 under. Even the pros, you have the mental breakdown, the baseball and softball gods will find you, and that ball will come to you, and you make that error, or you come up with bases loaded with 2 outs, and you get that hit, and you strike out looking because your mind wasn't there. But if you practice the way you play, like we always say, and focus on what you need to do, then it's a lot easier. Give me that 2.5 hours, 3 hours to play baseball or softball, and you'll get your job done, and then you can enjoy the things after that way. So that's a great question. I mean, we've with softball and baseball, it's same thing, but it's total different worlds, man. Because like I said, we have fantasy football, we have this, we have that, and we have prom. And I remember like yesterday when we did with all that dance stuff, and I said it's going to be a rough weekend. I know it is because their mind was not there. Their mind was not there.
I know you touched on a bunch of great points that we could continue to talk about. One of the cool things that I did with my team is I lined them up just on the outside of the dugout, and I said, "Here's the thing, right? This is a line. This is a physical line. There's no wall here. There's no fence here, but this is a physical line. All your boyfriend problems, all your school problems, all your dance problems, all your parent problems, they're here. Go ahead and just act like you're taking a backpack off and leave it here. Pick up your baseball or your softball bag and walk onto the field. And now that's all it is. You are totally 100% focused on this one. And I was going to go into another drill there, but I don't think it quite fits what we're doing here. But when they walk onto the field, just, hey, it's only softball. That's it. No boyfriends, no breakups, no school, no nothing. It's just for this amount of time, it's only softball. And it's your family right here. This pack, this is yours.
You want a good example of what that is?
Yeah.
The field of dreams. When he crossed that line, he went from being one of us to being the athlete, 100%. And then when he crossed that line back, then he's back to being us again. And you're 100% right there. I mean, I was good at that. I don't know why, but the minute I crossed that line, it was nothing else happened in school or girlfriend like that. It was time to go to work. And then the minute you cross that line back over, then reality hits you back and like, oh, okay, I gotta do that test, or I mean, I gotta do this or that. So yeah, 100%. You cross that working line, it's time to go. So yeah, that's why I tell any coach, you look at what they're doing in the dugout, what they're talking about, what they're going to be doing that night or for dinner or whatever, and they're not focusing on what they need to get done within the game. And that's the reason why they're probably having the problem towards the end.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Campbell?
Um, no, I was just listening because I'm one of those people who really, really struggles with getting my guys to focus, especially with like fantasy football going on and, with tests, exams, all that stuff. But I noticed that like since we're a club team, when the guys come onto the field, if they have homework or whatever, they're not going to come to practice, which is super unfortunate. And we're trying to work on that this year. And if you both have any ideas on how I can, you know, help guys show up to practice or get guys to show up to practice more, I'd love to hear that. But the guys who do come to practice, they're choosing to be there. And so they normally, when they're practicing, they kind of leave all those distractions behind because that's 2 hour and a half time periods a week where they get to just hang out with their friends and focus on baseball.
Uh-huh.
I love it, and I definitely do. And we're going to put you on the spot here in a second, if you can. We're going to have you do a practice huddle speech right here on this call. Is that okay?
Okay.
You look terrified, but you're going to be fine. So here's the first thing. Do you have your club players sign a player contract?
No, we don't.
Okay. So the first thing I would do is draft a player contract, and it says we are a team, we are a family. Here's what our expectations are. You're going to come to practice. When you're at practice, you're going to be 100% focused on baseball. And I know this is a club, but I am here to help you guys win. And if you're here to win, then that's the group of guys we want. If you can't commit to that, then we don't need you. And it's hard to say that as a coach because you want to help everybody. But the first thing I would do is get a player's contract. The second thing I would do is establish what is the goal of this organization. And we talked about it on a previous call, but if the goal of the organization is to win the club World Series, which you guys can absolutely do, you definitely have the talent to do that. I know it. I've seen the guys. You have the pitching, you have the hitting, you have the talent, you can do it. I would say this is our goal. It's like in the Patriots locker room when they were winning all those Super Bowls. When they came in the first day of practice, they knew that if anything less than winning the Super Bowl was a failure, right? So every practice, every game, every moment they were on that field, sometimes when they're at home or in the study room, in the quarterback's room, whatever, they know they have that in their mind. And so when you do that, you actually shift it, right? If you've got players that are complaining about practicing, or if they're complaining about how you want them to focus and practice, it's because they haven't bought in. They don't buy the idea that they could actually achieve this goal that you've set for the team. So number one, player contract. Number two, they got to buy into that end goal. Okay, they got to fully buy into that goal, and then now what I want you to do is use what you know and what I just talked about and what I talked about with you the other day about that end goal, and I want you to give us your heart and soul in that pre-practice huddle, the one that gets Larry and I to buy into your vision.
Ooh, okay. This
Ready
is a
for it?
lot of pressure.
Ready for it? No pressure. No
I
pressure.
don't know. This is a lot of pressure.
Just go from your heart. It'll always be good.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Welcome back to the 25-26 DU season. I'm so excited to see you all here today, and I'm so excited that you all chose to come out and try out with us. Um, this season, um, I'm really looking forward to playing CC because I know last year we left our heart and souls on that field when we played them, and I'm really looking forward to going back there and playing them. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing CSU Pueblo. I'm looking forward to going to see Western and seeing Mines, South Dakota School of Mines again, because I know that the last time we all played them, you guys left everything out on the field, and it really showed in the way you played. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season because, as you all know, this is my last season, and I want to leave everything out here on the field. I want to make it to Utah, and the only way I'm making it to Utah is if you guys are there to help me. And I need all of you right now to promise me that you can sit here for an hour and a half on Monday and Wednesday and you can give me your all in practice. That way, when we go out there on Saturdays and Sundays, I know that you guys are going to go out there, you're going to do your best, you're going to give it all, you're going to leave your heart and soul on that field, and we're going to make it to Utah and we're going to win that championship. And I'm going to get out of here with a bang. And I'm gonna leave this organization and know that you guys know what you're doing, and I was able to help you in every way possible. And I'm so looking forward to this season.
Nice, nice. What do you
Good
think?
job, man. Good job. That's good, man. He hit the heartstrings, man. Good job.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What I like to tell young coaches, and I do consider you a very young coach, Campbell, by the way. But
Yes.
what I like to tell young coaches is when you're inspiring a team, it's great if they know you, they will buy into that stuff. Like do this for me, win one for the Gipper, all of that stuff. If I'm speaking to a brand new coach who, like Larry said, they maybe don't have the trust, they don't really know what's there. You've got to find something in the players and you've got to like that, or like Coach Burt would say, you got to activate it, right?
Yeah.
You got to activate it. So what I would do is I would go in there and I would sort of read the room and say, look, we got some new faces here. We got some old guys that have been around for a while. We got really, really close last year. And I want you to think for a moment how did it feel when CC beat us that game and that caused us to not be able to make it to the regionals? And you start to pull on their emotional hearts. Like it hurts when you lose and you're one game away from going to Utah, right? You're one game away and you lose and you're like, I could have done this, I could have done that. And in all the games I saw, there's probably four of those games that you gave away. So there's four chances you would have been in, right? And I would bring that up because you start to get this emotion to come up in the players, and then you use that. You say, who wants to feel that again? Crickets, right? Who wants to feel the opposite of that and be the team that's high-fiving and jumping and excited and headed to Utah? Okay, now we can do that. But number one, this contract you signed, it's a contract and you need to commit to it. If you can't commit to it, don't sign it and go home and work on your studies. That's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you. If you sign it, you're here. You're part of this family. I'm going to give you everything I got. You give me everything you got. And I promise you, I can't promise you we'll win, but I promise you this will be the most fun and the best season that DU Club Baseball has ever experienced. And if you are with me, let's do this. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Are you motivated now, Campbell?
I'm motivated. I've chilled.
No, your players will see the passion that you bring every day. And when you bring the passion, they bring the passion. And that's one thing. That's hard for what you just did there. I couldn't do that. I'm a kind of coach that we're practicing, great play. Yeah. And then after I see, like you said, read the room, after I see the practice, what we're doing, then I can go to work and then I can talk to him after practice. And I always do the sandwich technique, negative, positive, negative, and a positive. You always want to end everything with a positive. And man, when you can lead those kids with like Coach Taylor, one day we're out there talking in front of the academy, and that's my my weakness that I'm getting better at. I feel I'm getting better at it. And we're talking, and I'm just, we gotta do this and do this. He goes, I'm ready to go through a wall, and I'm like, I didn't know I was doing it. I was just talking, and it's like this right now. We're just talking and just rapping about baseball, and you see the passion out of Coach and I's on our vision and our what we say and what we do things, and we're not always gonna be right, but if we have the passion and we're showing it, they're gonna trust us, and then you work from there. So it's all about that trust, the passion, the love of the game, everything, and you're doing it right. I mean, it's not easy doing club 9 o'clock at night when it's raining outside and you're gonna go play it, and it's crazy. But you know what? Once you get that and those boys buy in, it's easy. I mean, you're gonna want to go to the ball field. They want to come to Diamond, and when they're not there, you're not there. And it's that piece of that heart's away from you guys. But keep going strong, man. You got it.
I love it.
Thank
Yeah, we'll talk about that conversation another time, Larry. But he was thinking he wasn't going to get up on stage, and then I sort of riled him up and got him going. And I mean, he's right. Like when he got done, I was like, let's go through this wall right now. We got it. Let's go. Let's flip this car over, man. Let's burn a cow.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love it. I love it. How are we doing on time? Do we have time for another question or?
We do. I think we can keep going. Are you guys good with that?
Absolutely.
We're good. I'm good with that.
Okay, cool. So here's another one. If my team is not making good contact at the plate, how can I help them?
Ooh, you almost need more clarity with that question. You want to take that one, Larry, to start?
Repeat that again, please.
If my team is not making good contact at the plate, how can I help them?
Well, find out what they're having problems with. What pitch are they having? Is it the changeup, the slider, the fastball? Is it the 0-2 count, the 1-1 count? Is it the approach they're going up the play about? What's as a coach, you kind of see what's happening. If all the batters are going up the first pitch and they're missing it, or they're just not, or they're waiting for that first pitch to go by and it's right down the middle of the plate, They gotta look at that approach, and you've seen that pitcher. If and that's why we do charts. If you're seeing that pitcher throwing strikes 95% of the time, you want those batters to swing the bat first pitch. You know what I'm saying, or the first two pitches. You don't want, and if they have a great slider or a great changeup, you don't want to face that pitch. You want to get the fastball. So you kind of see as a coach what they're having a problem with, and then I always say you can't really coach when they're playing. You coach during practice. So then you just take it back. You put a little note in the up on the sheet and say, okay, that's what we work on in practice, and you just drill it in their head. You know, this team here, we faced them again this year. Their pitchers are always going ahead of us with the fastball. Sit dead red. Sit fastball. You know, or maybe if you're going by the batter, say, hey, sit fastball here. Swing the first pitch, and kind of give them that kind of heads up on there, and they will do what you need to do. But yeah, I would just say you kind of, that's why you're there. You need to help them out as much as you can. So definitely look what they're doing, what they're having problems with.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. I love that, coach. And you're absolutely right. You see it all the time, especially in travel ball. You see these coaches that are just coaching the heck out of every kid, and you look at the kid in the batter's box, and they're like their eyes are wide, and they don't know if they're supposed to be in or out, taking a sign. You know, they're just confused because there's so much information coming in, and you get them thinking. And the best way to keep somebody from getting good contact or from hitting the ball well is to get them thinking, right? You get them thinking in their head, then everything slows down. Because if I'm thinking about hitting a fastball, I'm actually slowing that process down. If I just simply focus on the ball, a lot of times if we're mid game, there is one thing that I will tell the batters in the huddle. I won't do it individually typically, but I will come in there when we're in the huddle and say, hey, look, we're not making great contact. Let's try something. Let's focus on the pitcher's hand, or focus on the pitcher's ear, or focus on the pitcher's bill, or focus on the actual seams of the ball. And in game, that's what I would do to try and combat that, because really bad contact could be lots of things. But if you want to sort of correct that mid game, it's focus. It's focus. That's the only thing that you can even try to do in a game, because you're not going to change somebody's swing. You're not going to change their step. You're not going to change their hands in a game. That's in practice on a tee doing that other stuff.
And you know, like you said, coach, this game is 95% mental, 5% physical, or 9% mental, 10% physical. As a player, I know you did it too. We watch that pitcher on every little thing they do. If they have a little twitch right here with this glove here, or like this, if they squeeze the hand too much on the ball, you see it's going to be a changeup. You see that. That's why they wear long sleeves, because if they see that arm moving, they know what's coming. And I was a prime example. I watched that pitcher in the bullpen, and you see his windup and how his curveball was, and how his fastball was. Did it tail? Did it run? Whatever it may do. But if you become a student of the game, you're ahead of it. And I hate to say this because they cheated, but the Astros, they had that thing in the trash can. They knew with the fastball coming. That's why they changed the game now with the pitch clock or the counter with the catcher, because the guy at second base can see what that pitcher is doing, and when you're ahead of the game like that and you know what pitch is coming, you're gonna kill this game. So it's the same thing. If you became a student of the game, even as a base runner, you watch that little twinge of that pitcher, you know exactly where he's going to home plate, and you can take off and get second base. So this is the best game in the world, because there's so many tendencies you could pick up to be a better hitter and to be a better runner or a better fielder or whatever you may see off the bat. And you just got to be a student of the game. That's just all you need to come do
it. there's one, that's awesome, coach. And there's one drill you can do with your team in the facility or on the practice field, and it's one that I haven't really seen anybody outside of me doing it, but it's super effective. And I'll take a ball and I'll put a little 1 on it, and I'll take another ball and I'll put a little 2 on it, and then there will be a ball that's not marked. Okay. And then let's say, and this is not for hitting particular, let's say I'll hit that ball as a ground ball, and there's several different balls in the bucket, so you don't know which one's coming. And I say, you have to call out the number that you see on the ball, and you hit the ball. And if they don't call out a number, you have to hold it because that should be a ball that has no number on it, right? Well, inevitably, the first thing the girls say is, "We can't see that. Look how fast that ball is going." And I said, "Your focus, your total focus, will actually slow that ball down, and you can see it. You can see the seams. You can see that number." So then, as we go through it and we go through it, first round, almost everybody's not saying anything because they think in their mind that they can't see it. But a couple times through, you start to hear one, and then when they field it one, there's a player with a hat on that has a one on it. That's where you throw it. So if you field a one, you throw it to the one. If you field a two, you throw it to the guy with the two hat on, right? And what happens is this really starts to train their mind that they can actually see the seams. And if you can see the seams, you can read the pitch. And if you can read the pitch, you can hit the pitch, right? Now you're getting really awesome contact. And I know the example I said was that. The other thing I'll do is I'll have my pitchers throw live full speed in a hitting tunnel against our batters with those balls that are marked. And the batter has to call out what they see. And it's the same thing inevitably. When I first start with them, they can't. Once you get 5 or 6 practices in, every time it's one, one, and they don't swing if it's nothing. Two, 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 one, two, right? And it starts to train your hitters to know that they are 100% in control, and they are the one who's choosing to swing at a good pitch, to swing at a bad pitch, and they can actually see that. And when they focus that intensely, they actually slow the game down. And what happens when you slow the game down, Larry?
It's a beach ball.
It's a beach ball.
It's a beach ball.
Now you can swing absolutely terrible and you still make great contact.
I tell you what, man, when you're in a slump and you don't see that ball, the field's this big. And when you're in that beach ball, the field's that big. And everything you hit, it's finding something. And
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And, back when we were playing, we saw 96, 97 miles an hour on an everyday basis. Now you're seeing 100, 102. But if you see it over and over and over again, like you said, you focus on that, you slow the game down. That pitch ain't nothing for those guys. I see these guys now just turn that pitch all day long. I'm like, that's coming 101 miles an hour, and you're just pulling it like it's nothing. But they see it over and over and over again. So, love it. Great job, Coach.
I love that. So this is going to be a little off topic, guys, but I feel like I should bring this up because this is related to what we're talking about here. It drives me crazy when these new coaches talk to me and they go, we were playing well all year, and then we go to the Sparkler, which is the big tournament where all the big dogs come in, and now you're playing real competition, right? And we get whooped. And I said, well, tell me what tournaments you played in, and they'll tell me what tournaments they played in. And I said, okay, so you started with some really low competition tournaments and you did well. And then you stayed in that for the first 3 tournaments. And then the 4th tournament, you went up and you got beat up. And then the 5th tournament, you went back down and you won. And then when the real competition came in for the Sparkler, you did your girls a disservice because they weren't ready for that. And I never understood that. They're like, well, you got to teach them how to win. Yeah, but do you want to win against a lower level component or competitor, or do you want to win against a good team?
Good team.
Because your girls are not actually getting better. You're just reducing the level of competition so they get a win.
Exactly.
It drives me crazy.
Well, you play the way you play to the down of your opponents. So if you're not playing at the top level, you're going to play down. And when you get that next level, it's going to be too fast for you. Like we say, the game's too fast. It's way too fast because now these girls are doing things that you haven't ever saw before. And now you girls are intimidated and go, we always saw when the infield outfield, if those guys are smooth and the infield outfield, you look at our team, you're like, we got beat already because the way they handle themselves on that diamond and how they did the infield outfield, it's mental. Wow, look how good they are. But if you do the same thing over and over again, you're right with them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah. It's like Coach and I were at the high school game, Lutheran in Ponderosa, right? And the Lutheran coach had those girls dialed in. They were out there like I was intimidated how well they did,
yeah,
and how fast their hands were, and everything. And then the Ponderosa girls went out there, and it was like they didn't even know where to throw the ball or who was the cut, or and it was
it's slower,
it was slower, it was
slower.
sloppy.
Mhm.
The Lutheran girls when they went out there, it was quick, it was crisp, it was fast. If they made a mistake, they just moved on. It was like, oh, I love that. And
Yeah.
you know, any team can win at any level. It's not about what you do on game day. What you do on game day is it's like the result. It's the law of cause and effect. That's the effect, right? That's the effect. What happens on game day is the effect. The cause of what happens on game day is what you do in your practices. It's what you do when nobody's looking. It's what you do when it's just you in the mirror. Are you saying things to yourself in the mirror that are like, man, I'm not good enough. I don't know why I'm even on this team. Or are you like, yo, Larry, you're a badass. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
are a
yeah.
badass. And are you saying that to yourself when you're brushing your teeth? Or is there some other conversation going on? Because that's where you really start to see change on the field and in school and in lives and relationships when you start to realize, hey, you know what? I was born a badass. There isn't a
Yep,
single
yep.
person alive that isn't a damn miracle. Birth, growing, a baby, that whole thing, that's a miracle. It's a miracle. Like you tell me one scientist who can create a baby and grow it and birth it, right? They can do it, but not in the lab. Well, I
Yeah,
guess that
yeah,
could
exactly.
happen in the lab. Sorry. Let's keep it PG. But you know what I'm saying? It's a miracle. You're a miracle. Everybody's a miracle. And if you go into it with that and you teach these girls and these boys, hey, this world is blessed because I'm here. That's not an ego thing. That's a confidence thing. That's a true worth thing. And when you start
Mhm.
to teach them that, then those other things, they work harder in practice because they believe more in themselves and they believe in the cause and they believe in Campbell's goal, right? If you got somebody like what's your Cyrus, right? Can I say his name on this and everything?
Yeah.
This poor boy, he comes to
Mom.
me and I'm working with him in the off season. He's like, "Well, I want to get better," and I go, "Okay, well, what are you doing to get better?" Uh, Okay, so you don't really want to get better. You think if you're better, you get more girls, you'd have some other things or whatever. You think you need to be different to be okay. Is kind of what you're thinking right now. That's not, the question you asked me is what can I do to get better? No, you need to feel better first, and you'll start to do the things that will make you better. You have to practice. You can't get better without practice. But you can't get very much out of practice if you don't believe what you're doing is going to make you better, right? If you don't think you're capable of being better. So no matter how good a coach I am, if Cyrus doesn't buy into the fact that he's an amazing, capable person, he'll never get to where he wants to be. And it'll always be a dream. It'll
Mhm.
always be a want. It'll always be not a desire because a desire is a higher level. If you have a desire, you're going to go get it. It may take time, whatever, but you're going to go get it. But if you just have a like, I would like to be better. It's never going to happen. It can't. It can't be that uncommitted.
I want to. No, you're going to. Not I want. You're going to. And 100%. And it's in but with practice too. It's quality, not quantity. There's so many things you can do. You could take 100 hacks. Is it good for you? No. You get tired, and also you get tired. You do bad habits. You want 20 quality hacks. Doing what you need to do, get that muscle memory down, and to get better. So yeah, you may want to, but how you do what are you doing to get yourself better? Are you running? Are you like the pitchers? Are you running? Are you doing conditioning? Are you throwing? Are you doing long toss? Are you doing your bullpens? That's all that's right there will make you get where you want to be better. So you have to do little things to make the big things better. So that's it. Makes any sense. Do little things to make stuff better.
Yeah, it was amazing. Coach and I were taking over an 18U team um, from a previous coach, and we had a few of the guys come in. We started watching this, and it was a lot of sitting around, a lot of chitty chatter, a lot of downtime. And then we brought a couple of our guys right in, Jose and Alvaro, and they went to work. I mean, they were like, they just went to work. They didn't need to be told. They didn't need to say, you didn't say, need to be, hey, make sure you're doing something. No, they went in there and they went to work.
They knew exactly what we wanted them to do, and they did
Yeah.
it. And then they start following you. Then the herd starts following you. That's what I'm saying. You get those guys that believe in you, what you're saying is truth. Then the herd's going to get together, and then it's going to become one. So, I mean, it's amazing. So it's fun when you start seeing that happening. He's like, okay, it's working.
And then you hit on a good point, and I think you should take that to heart, Campbell, is you don't have to get everybody to buy in. You have to get the leaders or a few key people to really, I mean, fully have a desire and a commitment. And you do that, and the rest of the guys will just fall. It's just how it works. They will
Yep.
fall in line. If the coach is the only one, like if Coach Larry and I or you, Campbell, are the only ones pumped up, it works a little bit, and it definitely works when you're standing in front of them, but it sort of fades as they walk away. But if you get a couple of those players and a couple of those captains and key players to buy into it, it doesn't fade. They talk about it in the hallway at school. They talk about it when they're at the swimming pool. They talk about it, yeah, we're going to win this. We did this. We did this. Think about it. Whenever they come up and talk to you, that's what they're talking about, right? Because now they bought in. Now
When they're wearing, when those girls, those boys are wearing pack baseball or whatever it was that your team is to school over their high school stuff, they bought in. They just bought it, and that's a great feeling. I seen it happen, and I was like, they're wearing their sweatshirts, they're wearing t-shirts, their mom's wearing their stuff. That's when you know you get the buy-in, and that's when all they think about is this, not the high school part. It's they want to play club baseball. That's the family. Because in high school, it's just a lot of stuff goes on in high school. I mean, you got all these cliques and this and that, and I mean, but when you get a team together into one, and it's all they want to be with each other and play ball together, you bought it, and that's when you sit back and go, "Yep, it's gonna be fun."
Yeah, this is going to be a good year. I don't even remember what the question was, Campbell. Did
I
we?
know.
You're supposed to be keeping us on task here.
Yeah, where's that timer at?
I'm just enjoying this, you know?
All
So
right.
we've got about 5 minutes left. Um, I was gonna ask us a couple questions about like being a teammate, being a group player, but I think since we only have 5 minutes left, I'm gonna go with one more question about how to work with your team and like one more question about coaching. So our last question for the day, and this is kind of a big one. Maybe we'll have to touch on this more next Wednesday, but it's how do I get my outfielders to come up and catch that short pop fly when they keep letting it drop right in front of them?
Okay. I will take care of this in 3 words. No fly zone.
Yep.
What I
Yep.
teach my outfielders is if it's in the green, it ain't touching it. If it's in the air over the green, it cannot touch the green. I will sacrifice my life. I will sacrifice my glove. I will sacrifice my hat. I will sacrifice my uniform, but it will not touch the green. It is a no fly zone. What do you want to add to that, Larry?
Practice. Keep on doing it every day in practice. Pop flies, pop flies, pop flies, pop flies, and they will start reading the ball. And that filter first step's always back. It's easier to go back and then go forward than go forward to back. And the more you do it, muscle memory. You just do it over and over and over again, and eventually, they start seeing the ball like in BP. You put the players in the spots they're going to be playing at. So an outfield don't play infield. You play outfield and read the ball off the bat like it's live. So you play like you practice. So the more you do it in BP and you read the ball off the bat, the better you're going to do in games. So it's like anything else. The no-fly zone, perfect. Perfect. But, baseball and softball, the field's a little bit different, smaller, bigger. So it's the same kind of concept. that ball's in the air, you go get it. You go get it. So yeah, good.
I love that. One thing I will add is, and I sort of want to first ask the question, but then I'll go ahead and answer it too. What is the number one reason somebody lets that ball bounce a foot in front of them, 2 feet in front
No
of them, 3
confidence.
feet in front of them? What's that?
No confidence.
Yeah, they're afraid. They're
Therefore,
afraid and fear. And what is the only way to overcome fear?
keep doing it.
Knowledge, right?
Knowledge, yeah.
And that could be your knowledge because you've taken 1,000 fly balls. You know, yeah, if I take one more step, I'm going to catch that ball, and I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it. I also know because I'm trained so well by Coach Larry and Coach Campbell that there is somebody behind me who's going to pick it up if I don't get it. Right? You
Exactly.
got my back. I know that. So I am going to lay out and do and go full out, and I promise you, at least 60% of those balls are catchable by anybody. You don't even have to be special, by anybody. And it's all about just having that confidence. It's like Coach Larry says, practice, 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 practice. Well, when you know it's a no fly zone and you know how to read a ball and you know somebody has your back, you don't have any fear. There's no fear left. If you as a coach remove that fear from the kid, those plays get made. I promise you they get made because it's not an
Yep.
athletic thing. It's not an ability thing. It's a fear thing.
They read it. Yep.
So that was the quick and dirty. That was the fastest question Coach Larry and I have ever answered.
Yeah. We're both catchers and infielders. Why?
That's right. And you asked us an outfield question.
Yeah.
All right, Cam. Anything else before we close out, or are we good?
Um, I think we're good for today. I think next week I'm gonna compile a bunch of questions about being a good teammate and communicating, and next week we'll focus on that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe we choose that one. That'll be the topic on Monday because that's a big one. And go ahead
Yeah.
and maybe put a poll in the community and say, hey, do you guys want to talk about this, this, or this? And we'll just go with whatever gets the most votes on Monday, and we'll break it down. So on Monday, so you guys know it, we're going to take one thing and really expand on it, and that's what Monday is about. And it's just like this. So it's your input, our input, feedback, all of those things so that we're all getting better as coaches. And then this Q&A like tonight, it's a bunch of questions that you got from that call, right? So this last Monday was our first live call. It was a lot about pack and all of that. But next Monday, we're going to take one of those questions, whichever one you guys decide you want to see, and we're going to expand that. And we're going to answer that in a way that you just can't do multiple questions, and you're gonna really go away understanding how to handle that and how to take care of that. And then you can ask some questions, some follow-up questions that we'll answer on Wednesday.
I
Cool.
agree, Coach. Thank you. Sorry, my dog started barking, so I had to put on mute.
Hey, no problem. I just want to say
Live TV, man.
that's right. I want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much, Coach Larry. You are fantastic. You're a great asset to this team. And Campbell, we can't say enough about you being the moderator, and go coach DU and you inspire those boys. Get them to believe in your dream and their dream, make it their dream. And your practices will go so much better, be so much more effective. And do think about doing the player contract because that's huge. That is a physical commitment that they're making.
I agree.
I will.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Are you gonna stop the recording?